Welcome to Outside the Room. I'm CG Funk, your host. This is a really exciting episode because we are recording it live at the Massage Heights International Franchise Conference in beautiful Tucson, Arizona. Let them hear you roar. Hey, Outside the Room was one of the ways that Massage Heights rose to lead this year, creating the industry's first virtual show and podcast dedicated to massage therapists and estheticians to support their work and honor their careers. Yeah. Many of you have followed along as we heard from people with world-class expertise who shared their passion and their purpose. We had the opportunity to hear from these iconic leaders the many ways that they rose to lead throughout their careers. Today's special guest, Rise to Lead moment, is immortalized in time as she overcame all odds to win an Olympic team gold medal in one of our country's greatest athletic moments. Let's take a look.
There's no special ingredient to doing amazing things.
So Kerri Strug, it is up to her. If she can score 9.493 as you see her parents in the stands, then she will win the team gold.
This is not any competition, this is the Olympic Games. We thought, this is the first ever women's gymnastics gold medal on the line.
For the USA, she's the last to go. She's the only one who can do it.
So I had a lot of years of practice of doing the wrong thing to then try and do the right thing at that moment.
She will also perform the same vault we just saw. Mochianu sit down, 2 in a row on.
Oh! 3 falls in a row for the American.
This is scary.
She is limping. Kerri is hurt.
I also know that failure is oftentimes the prelude to one's greatest achievements. I was known as the gymnast who had a lot of talent but couldn't put it together when it counted. I wasn't mentally tough. And they were correct. The media was right. I would always falter when all eyes were on me.
She is limping. Kerri is hurt.
Oh, this could be really bad news, John.
When you believe in yourself and you block out every other distraction, you're capable of doing anything. So that last vault, to finally put it together when it counted most.
She knows what to do. She will go and she is ready.
I had finally come into my own, and I think that catapulted me into a new arena and changed the trajectory of my life.
The amazing thing about it, though, John, she raised her hands overhead. She finished the vault.
Standing on one leg.
I want an understanding of the incredible strength and scope of my own personal potential. So there's lots of Olympians and there's lots of gold medalists, but it's those athletes that have that special performance that stick with us. The Olympics are just really special because it kind of ignites that flame from within, and we can't all go to the Olympics, we can't all win gold medals, but we can all be our best selves. And I think when you watch the games, those 16 days of glory, it ignites like that flame from within for all of us to be better, to do better, and to go after our dreams, whatever they may be.
Please join me in welcoming the incredible Kerri Strug to the stage.
Thank you.
You know, did you notice I'm already crying? So it's only the first day of the conference. Oh, welcome. We're so happy you're here. Yay.
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Thank you for the warm welcome.
Listen, let's jump right into the interview. You guys ready? All right. So 4 years old, you started copying your sister's gymnastics moves, around the house, and you were hooked at 4 years old. How old were you when you decided that the Olympics or national or international competition was a goal for you?
I think for me, around 6, I watched Mary Lou Retton win her gold medal, and I wanted to be just like her. She made it seem easy and fun. And so I watched her at the 1984 Summer Games on television, and I watched them over and over and over, and decided, yeah, that's what I want to do. I didn't really realize all that was involved to get there, but I think that's when I decided I wanted to try and be a gold medalist.
6 years old, that's pretty good. It's with any goal that big, because that's a huge goal, it comes with a lot of sacrifices, and I'm sure even in our businesses with our goals of success, we have sacrifices. But for you, it was school, not staying in the same school, social sacrifices, living away from home and from family. And tell us about, I was real fascinated with the triangle that your father insisted on. So share with the crowd what that triangle was.
Well, I think sometimes it's really important, even if you have these big goals for yourself, to kind of stay balanced, because if you're too out of whack, oftentimes then you go tumbling down. So my father said the triangle was that I had to go to a good school. Of course, the gym where I went was important because that was the actual goal. But then also the family of who I lived with, because that was a big part of things, and we all need a support system outside of our work so that we can keep going day after day and stick to that goal.
And I think that's great, because it's like a balance, basically. You're not just in this one thing where you probably could lose yourself a little bit if you were just all, training without that. So in 1996 Olympics, hey, was anybody there or watch it on TV? I mean, did you guys see it? So you saw that moment, right? The moment of victory. It was 1996, for those of you who weren't there, the Olympics, it was in Atlanta. So it was on our own home turf, basically. Give us some highlights of being there. I mean, just, you're there, and tell us about it.
Well, I think for me, I had gone to the 92 Barcelona Olympic Games, and that was my first games, so I didn't know what to expect. Being, in a different country, and the food's a little different, and I didn't have access to my parents, and you're primarily just training. You have certain expectations going into the games as to what it will be like from watching it on television. But as we know from social media, oftentimes the photos and then reality are very different. But I knew going into the Atlanta Games what it was about. And I knew that, yes, this was the Olympics and there was all these amazing athletes from around the world, but that I had a job to do. And I think I felt so fortunate that it was here in the States. It was a different feeling. We didn't have to go abroad, weeks in advance. I had all the things that were familiar to me, and I knew that my family and loved ones were right there. I didn't have access to them on a daily basis, but that they were there to watch me. And there was just really high expectations for us gymnasts going into those games, which was great, but also a little bit nerve-wracking as well. But we knew that we had to rise to the challenge, and I think oftentimes if you have those really high expectations, that nervous energy just needs to be funneled into a positive way.
Yeah, and I know that both games, Barcelona and Atlanta, you missed the opening ceremonies because the gymnastics is the next day, and that's probably one of the most exciting parts for the athletes, huh? Yeah,
I think, as a youngster, you always think, I'm going to participate in this or that. But when it comes down to it, you put all that time and effort, and you've sacrificed so much, you don't want to be in the opening ceremonies and be tired for the competition. So we understood. But yeah, it was a little bit disappointing nonetheless. But yeah, you gotta, stick to your routine and do what you think is best for your body and your mind.
I love that. Do what's best for your body and mind. Okay, the famous vault that we just watched. Did you know at the time it was nearly perfect, or was there a period of time, even a few seconds, where you didn't know if you had stood long enough, or yeah?
Yeah, I think as a gymnast, to be honest, oftentimes like the coach that I had in the gym, it's always like, not good enough. You're always yearning for that perfection. You're being told that you can do it faster, stronger, higher. Your toes should be pointed, better, things like that. And we're taught, about the salute and the amount of time from the beginning when you salute until you go, and then when you're done. And so I was a little bit nervous. I didn't know if they would count it as a fall or not. But they assured me, when I was backstage and they were trying to figure out what was wrong with my ankle, get the shoe and things off, that, it was okay and that it counted because I did turn and salute to the judges.
And so for the youngins in the room that maybe don't know the whole story, what actually happened to your ankle? What was the injury?
Well, I tore some ligaments, so it was not the actual bone that was broken, but being in the health industry, ligaments sometimes take longer to heal than a bone. So I think for me, I didn't know at the time what was wrong. I just knew that it really hurt. But when you're in that position, we thought that we needed the vault. The Russians were on the floor exercise. Their top competitors were going to go. The vault moves faster than a lot of the other events since it's quick. And so I think anyone on my team would have done the same thing. It was a team competition. Everybody had done their part. This was like our first time ever that we were really vying for Olympic gold as a team. And so you have to give it your best. I think for me, and even in the gym and training, our coach never let us end on a fall. That's just like unheard of unless you're seriously injured and you can't do anymore. And they talked to us a lot about, the difference between something hurting and then really being injured. And so as a youngster, sometimes it's hard to kind of differentiate what it is. And I was very fortunate that I had a lot of nervous energy, that adrenaline rush to kind of help me through, and that I had a lot of years of practice of performing when I didn't feel good, whether it be that you're a little bit sick or, this nagging injury or that, you're oftentimes told to push through that. I know everybody doesn't agree, but, pending upon that injury, sometimes it makes you a lot stronger if you're able to work through your problems. Clearly, if you're really hurt, you need to take a break and take care of it. But I didn't know the level of where that injury was. I just knew my ankle really hurt, and I thought I needed to complete the vault. Well,
it was amazing. And for those of you who didn't see it, when it happened in '96, her coach actually came and carried her off the mat and off the floor because there's no way she could have walked. All right, here we go. Gold. USA team wins the gold for the first time in history. Americans won the team gold in gymnastics, women's gymnastics. Yeah, that was amazing. And that was such a high point for you. You were then with your injury, you had to pull out of the all-arounds, which you probably would have been very successful in the all-arounds. So it's a great success, but also kind of a great loss, to not be able to go on and participate in that. And this is all kind of in 1 week, right? 1 week, 2 weeks.
Yeah, a couple
segment.
days.
Yeah, a couple days. So this great, wonderful success, and then you had this other, thing that was kind of deflating. So how did you put all that in perspective? Did it take a while, or you were just trained to?
Well, I think for me, it's really important to have that support system in place because, like you said, I was on top of the world that we won our team gold, but that was step number one, and I had a lot of other goals for myself at the Atlanta Games. And I was very hopeful to bring home some more medals, so it was disappointing that I couldn't compete. But I was talking to my parents who were, you know, assisting me through that process and letting me know that, you know, you can't always accomplish everything, but that what I had done was, you know, pretty remarkable, and trying to, you know, find that silver lining and the positives in the event that transpired. Being 18 and only focused on, you know, winning medals, it was difficult at first, but I was also proud of myself for that moment and the vault, because prior to Atlanta, I was known as this gymnast who was really talented, but oftentimes kind of faltered when all eyes were on me. And so the vault had a lot more personal significance than a lot of people realize, because finally when all eyes were on me, I pulled through. So trying to focus on that, you know, life always throws you curveballs. You can be prepared as you want to be, but sometimes there's things you just can't control, and I was too hurt to keep performing. Yeah. But each day, you know, I had to come to that conclusion. My parents and my coach and the trainer and the doctors could tell me that, but I was still going to the gym with my teammates and thinking, well, maybe tomorrow, because each event final is a different day. And so I think that was helpful, that it was not just, you're definitely not competing, you know, and they left the decision up to me. So it's a little bit more empowering when you realize, like,
not good.
It's just not going to happen.
Not going to happen, yeah. So in all of your, I mean, you were an athlete at such a young age, and talk about the leadership skills you learned that have helped you, you know, in your life.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of parallels between athletics and life in general, in terms of, you know, setting those goals, having things happen that are out of your control, and learning to keep moving forward, having a positive attitude, trying to lead by example. I think today, sometimes we want this immediate gratification, but you have to put in the work. You have to do the right thing, and maybe even a little bit more each and every day to see those really grand results. You know, it's not going to just happen, and you learn that through athletics. I learned that at a young age. I learned that, you know, I can't do it all by myself. There's a team. We all rise kind of together. Of course, there are those leaders that really stand out, but they don't get there without others. And so I think that's really important, to know where you come from and to be a team player, even if you're at the top, because you need those people beside you and below you to keep you there. You know, after winning gold, I had an opportunity to meet some amazing leaders, and I think what I realized is they're really good at delegating, but also praising, and being in there each and every day too. Those are the people that we look up to as strong leaders, you know, that put in the work as well. So, yeah, I think through athletics, it just taught me so much about life that I'm still trying to implement, you know, today, day in and day out. But for me, I really felt good going to bed at night knowing that I gave it my all, and that I did the best that I could do for that day, you know. And we're constantly learning and changing and growing, and you got to modify what you do, because life is constantly changing. Our industries are changing, you know, the world is changing. And so you may be your best self here, but then you've got to kind of restructure and move, and, you know, have those people around you to help you, because you're going to have hard days. But it's those that still are persistent and keep fighting for what they want that I think eventually are really truly successful internally and externally.
Nice, very nice. Hey, you know, I read this article that you shared massage therapy. Any massage therapists in this room today? Let me hear you. That you shared massage therapy greatly helped you recover from some of your biggest injuries. And of course, you here are massage therapists and skincare therapists in the room today. Share how important you believe their work was for you in those moments.
Very important through my training, no doubt about it. I think oftentimes everything just hurt, and I didn't know, how I was going to move forward. And the massages really help with the lactic acid and, those feelings of like, oh goodness. Oftentimes it was painful when they do, various pressure points. It wasn't like we were getting, Swedish massage every day as an athlete.
Yeah.
But then, I knew that it was helping with the blood flow and my muscles and things like that, and was very appreciative of our therapists and all the work that they did with us to make us better. Again, it's a team effort. I feel like if I just pounded my body all day and didn't let it recuperate or, nourished it well and gave it some love, it would not have been able to keep going through all the practices and the trainings and things. So finding that balance is of utmost importance.
Great. There, you heard it, therapists. There you go. So we're going to fast forward to present day. Now your career is with the Department of Justice. Mm-hmm. Tell us about your work that you're doing today.
Okay. Well, being a gymnast and focusing on winning Olympic gold from the time I was 6, I was all about me. It was about me and my goals, and you try and do some other things, but I think after winning, I had an opportunity to work with various organizations and children's charities and things like that, and I knew that I wanted to do something that made a difference for the greater good on some level, and so I kind of just fell into this line of work right out of school. I was a second grade teacher in like a Title I school, and I thought I was going to change the world. But after 1 year, I decided maybe not. I have a lot more appreciation for our teachers because it was really hard work. I thought my gymnastics training was exhausting, but that was emotionally maybe more exhausting. But I knew I wanted to work with our youth in some manner, and so I was very fortunate to find this position in the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, where there are direct service programs that I work with, but I'm not in the weeds every single day, but I can help with their program development and making sure they hit their performance measures or utilizing their funds in the most efficient manner and whatnot. So I've been there a very long time, and really think a lot of the programs out there are making a very big difference, which is nice.
You were presidentially appointed to this role, from what I recall, our conversation.
Originally, I was put into a position for responding to student correspondence at the White House, and so that was a lot of fun. It was a nice transition from my teaching role. It just wasn't something that I felt like I could do year after year, so then I did transition into this position as a program manager in OJJDP, it's called. So it's been a good move for me. I think it's important that what you do, you feel good about. And I felt the same way as an athlete. I really did have a passion for gymnastics. It wasn't always easy. I didn't always love it, but at the end of the day, I knew that that was a short window and that I did, want to go forward and long-term want to achieve my goals. And I think I've been fortunate in my career, hopefully like all of you, to, there are hard times, there's hard days where you need to find your mentor or have, that person kind of lift you back up. But overall, you're excited about what you do, and you believe in it, and you think it's, doing good things, not just for yourself, but for others.
I love that. Thank you for that. Hey, so this is Kerri's book. I believe it came out in 2000 or 2002.
A long time ago.
It was a long time ago. But there's some big news about this book that you wrote and an upcoming biopic movie. So Olivia Wilde has picked this book up. And the last I read in the Hollywood Reporter, because I've been following this, is they have assigned or hired an actress to play Kerri. Can't think of her name right now. Something Thomason McKinnon, does anyone know? Does that sound familiar? All right, well, anyways, so that's a pretty exciting news.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's different. I think for me, you know, I have 2 young children now, and so it'll be nice to leave something behind. To them, I'm just mom, and can I go, you know, bring them here or do this or do that?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to instill in them all the things that I learned through my athletic career in terms of, you know, setting those goals and to work hard and to make the right decisions for themselves and to be a team player and all those things. So hopefully the movie, if it does really come to fruition, will embed some of those, you know, important characteristics in it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's right. It's funny because she told me that when we were talking together the last time. You're like, well, I don't even know if it's going to happen because, you know, Olivia probably kind of forewarned this could, you know, these projects can happen or not happen. And so here's what I think, okay? Here's what I'm predicting. I predict that movie is going to happen, and you're going to inspire a whole new generation of young girls and young boys to go for their dreams, whatever that may be.
Thank you so much.
And, you know, I also wanted to let you know I'm like a big Academy Award fan. So, you know, once you get that invitation, I'm available to be a +1 for you at any of the awards or parties, you know. So just keep me in mind, Kerri.
Okay.
Hey, listen, you know, our conference theme, as you know, we shared, is Rise to Lead. And I would love just to give us some closing thoughts on what Rise to Lead means to you. Yeah.
I think it's all about each one of us doing what we need to do to make each other better. I think the qualities that we spoke about in terms of, you know, sometimes things are hard, but it's those times when it's most important to lead and to rise to the occasion, because that's when we grow the most. I know my children don't like that, you know, I mean, always saying, oh, but this is a good learning experience. And you never realize that until after the fact, but those tough times are what make us better and stronger, but it's important that you have someone there. I know a lot of people, you know, view the coach that I had as maybe too much, but for me, I liked that. I love that he made me better, that he pushed me past my comfort zone on a daily basis. Because I didn't want to look back and say, if I'd only tried a little harder, if I'd only done a little more, maybe, you know, something would have happened. I would have had a different result. I think if you give it your best each and every day, there's no regrets. And that is so self-satisfying, knowing that you did the best that you could. And, you know, not everyone, like I said in the video, is going to make it to the Olympics. Not everyone is going to be seen as the leader, but all of us can lead in many different ways. And I encourage you to take those opportunities, you know, to be bold and take that initiative and try and lead those around you, because it can really make a big difference. You never know the impact you're going to have on someone's life.
I love that, yeah.
So you need to take those opportunities. You know, I think attitude is just so important in life, because everybody has a different perspective, but as long as you're true to yourself and have that half glass full attitude, which again, it's not always easy. There's times when it's really difficult to be positive, but your mind is so powerful, and I learned that through my athletics. And if you think you can do something and you've put in the work, I really truly believe you'll get there. But if you're, you know, Debbie Downer, it's going to be a lot harder to rise to the top. So you know, it's good to be a perfectionist. It's good to have that type A and to always want more, but at the same point, you got to be kind to yourself and say those positive affirmations, or have someone around you that is, and celebrate those small victories so that you have enough energy and enthusiasm to keep going for those larger goals that you have for yourself, or those bigger wins.
That's great. So, passion, positivity. People around you, you lift each other up. Yeah, awesome. Well, Kerri, it's been so great talking to you today, and we really appreciate you coming to our conference and sharing your words of wisdom, and you have made a difference in so many people's lives, and I'm sure that you continue to do that in the work that you do today. You guys, Kerri Strug. Well, thank you for joining me today on Outside the Room. From my heart to your heart, Namaste.